The thing you find when you first wake up is that you've always been there. That's the first thing you notice, that actually, I know this, but we haven't recognized it as that. We've thought it was something else. So the first thing you notice is, this feels ordinary and it feels extraordinary at the same time. So the waking up process is much more about your perception just starts to get much more finely attuned, and you start to see that there is something existing all the time that is awake. And I call it the I am presence that's dwelling in this all the time, you know.
What that means is, I don't know who I am. But what I mean by that is, when I say know, the word know refers to knowledge that we presume to be reality when it's really the mind grasping onto something in an illusory way. So I can't grasp who I am through thought. It's literally impossible. Awakening is the recognition of that at such a fundamental level that the sense of self is liberated. And you don't lose your personality. Like there's a personality here. It's just not who I ultimately am. Before that happens, there's a sense of anxiety. I would say that was my sense. That's what was so dissatisfying about my experience, was that I assumed that I was a separate entity. Only because I was projecting a mentally conceived sense of self onto what's unnameable and infinite.
So I experienced everything of my life like a book going. It seemed like it was that fast. It all went before me. So obviously your mind cannot perceive all that quickly. So it was an experience. I experienced all that, everything that I was not. So I'm going, okay, that's interesting. I said, okay, if this is everything that I am not, who am I? And when I said it, that instant, that was the experience that I'm unable to explain. That was the experience of abyss. It's experience of I have no idea where the mind went in that time frame or what the time frame was, but there was no intelligence, no cognizance, nothing but pure experience of this invisible energy.
You go within and you meet yourself, and for a lot of people, that's not a fun experience. You go within, you meet yourself, and there's this highly critical, diabolical conversation going on about how you're not meeting up to your expectations, and who you should be, what you did wrong, ruminating over this and that. So you go inside and you go, and you meet yourself, and you just drop all that nonsense. It's just like, that's not real. You just let it all go. I think I'll just be. I think I'll just be.
Incidentally, enlightenment for me means the annihilation of the ego. And by ego I mean the sense of personal doership, not mere identification with the name and form. That is where misconception arises.
After my experience, I can tell you this, there was no ego there to say, look what I did. Look what I accomplished. The functional ego remains. It must, or the body will just keel over. It has to be able to function. It has to know how to eat. It has to know how to write a check and drive a car. That's functional thinking. But the thinking part that judges functional thinking was destroyed.
Suddenly awakening occurs and you slip into non-experience and you realize that everything that you thought was true is actually a dream. Just like we're sleeping at night and we wake up and we say, oh, we've had a dream. Well, awakening is waking up quite a bit more to realize that during this daytime, we've also been lost in a dream of form, a mental, conceptual dream of form.
And suddenly it's like being in a dream, wide awake in a dream, but knowing I'm dreaming. And this is all me, I'm creating this. Yet also knowing, if you take the dream analogy further, this is still part of the dream. So this isn't even here. So where am I? I am this mind, this being that's dreaming all of this. And that's as far as the knowledge seems to go. Because you can have a knowledge this is a dream, and therefore, as it's just a dream, my own emotional state determines what's going to happen next. The fact is I'm still in the dream. I am still here. And I still have certain rules I have to abide by. I still have to eat. Still have to go to the toilet. Still have to sleep. Still have to go to work if I do. Still have to interact and avoid cars whizzing up the road. I'm still here in the dream. Yet I'm wide awake in it. I know I'm dreaming. And I'm wide awake.
It don't mean something you can actually make happen, but when it happens, it figures itself out. That's all that's happened, is that it's the I figuring itself out. And that creates the illusion of discovery. But there's nothing to discover. That's the big joke. What am I discovering? The illusion of I. Experiencing I, when that can't happen. That's the miracle. The real paradox, the ultimate paradox is, this can't happen, and yet it is. That's why it's a dream. It is a dream. But when the dream disappears, the I no longer can be entertained by even itself existing. Because the moment the I knows it's existing, it's creating the consciousness, or manifesting the consciousness, which is the dream itself. So consciousness itself is the dream. And when you have this one huge dream manifesting, then anything is possible within the dream, isn't it? And that's exactly what happens. Everything. Any and all possibilities happen within the dream. And that's consciousness as a whole. Infinity of infinities. Anything is possible.